Hey everyone, and welcome to the Dota 2 Builds of the Week, the weekly series where I show you guys top 5 meta builds to help you get started learning new heroes in Dota 2. As always, a link to my Twitch is down in the description below if you'd like to join the action live, as is a link to each of the builds we're discussing today. Moreover, if you'd like to support the channel, hitting the like button is the best thing you can do because pretty much that's all YouTube cares about, and subscribe if you'd like to be kept up to date. I literally do this every single week. With that being said, how can we not start this week's Builds of the Weeks without talking about Ame's Lone Druid? Now, what's interesting about this is that about a month ago, I highlighted Lone Druid, talking about how in the pro meta, we were seeing a lot more Lone Druid being played from position 1 and 2, and it hadn't really hit any of the major kind of competitions yet, but now we're at the Arlington Major, and sure enough, Ame and others are bringing out Lone Druid as a core, and it is absolutely crushing. So let's talk about how to play Lone Druid. So essentially, a couple things are happening here. The first is that the build-up in terms of talents is really straightforward. You literally are just going 1 and 2 across Summon Spirit Bear and then Spirit Link. You're taking Savage Roar later on with True Form a little later on as well. Because of the amount of sustain you gain from Spirit Link, you actually hold off on taking True Form until about level 9. This is a little more common. Some people will take it a little earlier. Some people may even take a value point of Savage Roar a little earlier. But generally speaking, the amount of shared lifesteal you get, especially the attack speed you get, is far too valuable. Spirit Link and Summon Spirit Bear are just way too important to the identity of Lone Druid that you really want to max them ASAP. The talent build is pretty much standard as well. With regards to the way this guide works, by the way, if you are looking at it, you see a main item progression, and each one of them will tell you, okay, this is the order you buy it in, but this one's for the bear, this one's for the bear, this one's for the bear, for the bear, for the hero. It actually tells you kind of the order. But in terms of starting items, you're not bringing too much regen. Now, here's the thing. This is the way pros build it. Why? Because Spirit Link provides you with shared lifesteal. If you need the added sustain, then make sure to bring a set of tangos as well. It can be beneficial for you. Regardless, you are building out your bear first. Okay, Phase Boots, Mask of Madness. The Mask of Madness in particular very valuable because of the entangle effect on the bear, which basically means the more attack speed you have, the more chances you have to entangle the enemy. And that's why you also get a value Gloves of Haste. This is something that has been relatively kind of like a new addition to this guide, because what's happened is that a lot of pros are starting to build this value Gloves of Haste after the Mask of Madness, because the bear just benefits from attack speed so much, not only from a farming perspective, but from a pure damage and from a perspective of getting more entangling roots off. You get right into Desolator, which is great for securing kills but also pushing towers. You go into the Shard, which basically gives a basic dispel to Savage Roar and affecting allies as well. It's a great team fight skill. Into Boots for your hero because you need to be survivable. Finally, Basher for your bear, and then you get Wraith Bands and an AC for your bear. But the Wraith Bands are for your hero because at 25 minutes you get a huge amount of armor, a huge amount of agility, and of course the armor is shared amongst the hero and the bear thanks to Spirit Link. And then you have some advanced items as well. But regardless, I know he takes some micro, and I know he takes getting used to, and I know he's not all that popular. But honestly, if you're looking to challenge yourself at the core roles, whether it be position 1, 2, I mean even 3 in some ways as well, you really need to take a look at Lone Druid. I remember a year or two ago when Thompson was playing Pango mid, and people were saying, Pango mid. It was tried in the past, but we don't know if it's all that good. Pango's usually played off lane. Well, now here we are at the Arlington Major, and Pango mid is being contested quite a bit. This was a toss-up between Pango and Puck. Like, Puck's being contested almost non-stop, and that has been very consistent for some time. But Pango is seeing a lot of interesting play as well, and is being played to good effect. And nothing to say, put it on great display during the Arlington Major, and PSG LGD has been absolutely unreal. So let's talk about Pango mid. Essentially, the way it works here is that you are taking points in a shield crash in order to secure the range creep. The 90 and 160 damage is pretty significant during the laning stage. Swashbuckle, because it's just, I mean, it's the bread and butter of what Pangolier is. You are taking Lucky Shot later on. Some people tend to try and take a value point in Lucky Shot, but what is true is that you actually lack farming capability if you take it a little earlier. You want the damage from Swashbuckle. You want the damage from shield crash. You want to really accelerate your farm. That's why a lot of people take it at 10. Rolling Thunder is a must take at 6 as well, as is the 6, 12, 18, and the talents are delayed by 1, so you can take your value point of Lucky Shot. Lucky Shot is amazing, but you really do need to have the damage and farming capabilities of Swashbuckle and Shield Crash together in order to make the most value from this hero. Talent-wise, Swashbuckle, Rolling Thunder, you're really focusing on the Swashbuckle and the Rolling Thunder talents. This is because you're building around your ultimate. As a mid, you want to be a tempo player. You're taking your bottle into boots, magic stick, arcane boots, into a magic wand. From there, this is like hit or miss. Some people tend to build the Orb of Corrosion, other people skip it. It's up to you. It works really well with Swashbuckle, of course, but so does a Diffusal Blade. And the key thing about, people look at the Orb of Corrosion like, oh, $950, $925, that's not all that expensive. But I mean, you delay your Diffusal Blade by like 3 minutes, basically, right? So it's up to you. In Nothing to Say's case, he does tend to build the Orb of Corrosion and go Diffusal Blade as well into the Aghanim Shard, which is absolutely fantastic. I don't know why it's showing Poison Touch for... Okay, the game's in beta, what can I say, okay? Poison Touch for Pangolier, of course, I mean... Anyways, it's roll up. It actually gives the abilities roll up. I don't know why it's showing Poison Touch. And then you go Blink Dagger, because Blink Dagger with Rolling Thunder is an absolutely incredible combination, especially when you couple it with roll up, which allows you to like shift, change directions and stuff like that. It gives you an amount of control over Rolling Thunder, which really makes it incredibly versatile. Into, of course, Basher with Swashbuckle is basically a guaranteed stun. And then you have your Aghanim's Scepter, which, once again, why is it showing bad juju? Why are we showing Dazzle skills for... Anyways, game's in beta. But regardless, that is more or less the core build there. If you want more of a farming-centric build, you do have the traditional Maelstrom into Mjolnir build. However, a lot of people are really focusing on this tempo play of going Diffusal Blade into Shard Blink Dagger and being a teamfight initiator with Rolling Thunder, especially around the Roshan Pit, because, I mean, if you get a team in the Roshan Pit and you're rolling, oh my gosh, it's basically just GG. So anyways, Pangolier mid, seeing a lot of work at the Arlington Major. I am so excited to talk to you about Offlane Razor. Now, what's interesting about Razor is that traditionally he was played as a mid, and then he was an offlaner. And then recently, during the last few patches, he was this really interesting carry when the level 25 talent, his Aghanim Scepter, and his ultimate kind of made this perfect storm for allowing him to finish games very effectively, especially with Refresh Orb. And then now, all of a sudden at the Arlington Major, he's back to the off lane, and people like Faith Beyond are showing him off for the value that he can provide, and I'm going to show you an updated guide to how to play Razor. Now, if you are subscribed to this guide, one thing I will note is I used to have a very different setup where I had like a little more of a complex setup. Now, what's interesting about Razor now is that this has become a very solidified build that is very consistent amongst all pros. So that is why I've decided to simplify the guide and provide one core build. The way it works is as follows. First of all, a few changes have been made. Traditionally, some people did like going Static Link first, but now what's happening is people are realizing that Razor's inability to last hit during the laning stage is an issue. So what people are doing is they are taking the Plasma Field in order to aid in last hitting to secure range creeps. They're taking as much stats as they can up front with 2 circlets as well, and they're getting a value Quelling Blade, because remember that 4 range damage for 100 gold is like getting 4 Iron Branches. It's actually pretty slot and gold efficient for the amount of damage you're getting, and you can just sell it off after. You are going into double Wraith Bands to complete the Slippers of Agility and the double Circlets. Now, the current build has you going Phase Boots. This is exactly what Faith Beyond did. However, there is some value in getting the Power Treads as well. If you feel like you have to be tankier, then Power Treads gives you, especially when you swap to Strength, gives you that added value as well. You could even consider going Bracers in this case as well and changing the Strength of Gauntlets to Strength for the Slippers of Agility, although it kind of inhibits your ability to last hit by that 3 damage. With that being said, the way Razor is being built right now is very straightforward. You're rushing BKB and Refresher. Why? Why in this order? Well, the reason why is because Razor has a lot of natural armor as an agility-based hero. He's also very fast. The thing that Razor struggles with is being bursted with magical-based damage or by being like controlled with stuns and stuff like that. BKB allows you to survive those types of engagements. Because think about it. You can't really spell steal from anybody, but what you can do is you can steal the physical damage that someone's doing to you. So if you're against a PA, you can static link the PA and the amount of physical damage they're doing is going down. But a Skywrath mage is still going to pump you with an insane amount of damage. That's where BKB comes in. Why Refresher next? Well, Refresher is great because it allows you to utilize all your skills again. Eye of the Storm gets an additional target, Static Link gets an additional target, that's great. But the key thing people often forget about is that the Refresher Orb refreshes BKB. So what you do is you get into the fight, you Plasma Field, you Static Link, you Eye of the Storm, you BKB, and then once the BKB expires, you use your Refresher Orb, or a little before it expires actually, pop BKB again, and then use all your skills again. That is the true value of the Refresher Orb. It's not just the skills. For Razor, it's the BKB as well that gets refreshed, which is incredibly valuable, especially with the increased cooldown time that was added in a recent patch. And then finally, you finish the build with the Agnum Scepter. Oh, there's good juju again. I don't know why Dazzle's skills are showing up all of a sudden, but there they are. But, you know, Agnum Scepter finishes it off, and then finally you go into his Shard, which is not Poison Touch. It basically kind of buffs up Storm Surge a little bit, and it makes Razor a little more challenging to deal with if targeted. With that being said, he does have a lot of different variability as the offlaner. He's not being played like a traditional offlaner. Like, you're gone into kind of the days right now of building like Pipe of Insights and Crimson Guards. That's not really happening. You still see some Rod of Adoses. You still see Halberts every once in a while. Against some heroes like Snipers and stuff, Blade Mail is being picked up every once in a while as a niche item. Raindrops is absolutely clutch. I want to talk about these two items. Raindrops and Magic Wand are two critically underused items in Dota, and Razor benefits from both. Magic Wand, he's in the mix. He's going to be targeted nonstop. You need that extra, like, he's an agility hero. He does not have a high natural health pool. Use that Magic Wand. He can get bursted with magic. Use infused raindrops. They're amazing. So anyways, Razor right now is in a really interesting spot. He's being flexed in a couple different ways. I have a very complete beginner's guide that I'll link up above if you're brand new to the hero and you want to learn him from scratch. But regardless, he's in a really cool spot right now, and I think that he's worth playing in the offlane, as demonstrated by Faith Beyond. I gotta tell you, watching Thunder Predator's Matthew absolutely own with Nyx Assassin was one of my favorite moments in the Arlington Major. Listen, I like SA Dota. I love watching you know, Thunder Predator. I love what they bring to the table. They always bring cool meta stuff, and no one has really been playing much Nyx Assassin, but Matthew absolutely crushed with him. So it was one of the most inspired position 4 performances that I'd seen in a bit. So I wanted to talk about how Nyx Assassin can be utilized in this new and upcoming meta. So what's interesting about Nyx Assassin is that he is now being played as a Blink Initiator, which is kind of interesting because if you think about it, he actually has 2 stuns. He has Impale, which is the primary thing. You're basically blinking and impaling, okay? But you also have Spike Carapace, and that can be incredibly valuable, and people often sleep on the fact that Spike Carapace has a 2.4 second stun duration, which is huge, especially when you consider that pretty much tons of people do AoE damage. If you're in low MMR, you just pop Spike Carapace and you stand in the middle of a team fight, everyone's going to get stunned around you. Like, they're just not going to do anything about it. It's such a good ability. And then you will have the 20 talent as well. Like, it's just crazy. But anyways, the interesting thing of the way he's being played itemization-wise is he does go tangles into boots because he needs the boots, or else he's a horrible laner. That's kind of his thing, right? He lanes so bad. The boots help him be a little mobile and help trade a little better. You are going an early stick into Tranquil Boots. You are getting a value Windlace, by the way. Yes, Tranquil Boots and an additional Windlace. He is a roaming-based hero. You want to be moving on the map. And this extra Windlace with the extra movement speed really helps you do exactly that, especially when you're trying to get off some clutch impales. And then you're getting Blink Dagger. Again, Nyx Assassin right now is being built all around mobility. So you literally have Tranquils, which are amongst the fastest boots that aren't boots as travels, obviously. You have Windlace for additional move speed, and then you have a Blink Dagger as well. All mobility. And then finally, you actually use up that Windlace and you build a Eul Scepter Divinity. Why? Not only can it set up Impale, but obviously it helps to dispel dust and stuff like that on you as well to help you remain survivable. But the important thing is that it can be used to cancel TPs. It can be used in so many different ways. But most importantly, it gives you that move speed. It gives you the mana regeneration that you need. It's a really good versatile item for someone like Nyx Assassin. And then you finish it off with the drums into Boots of Bearing. One thing worth noting is that you can actually switch these two as well. You can go drums before the Eul Scepter. Moreover, if it's a game that requires a Force Staff, you can skip Eul Scepter and take Force Staff. Yes, Nyx Assassin does uniquely benefit from Yule's Scepter of Divinity, but if it's a 4-staff game, get the damn 4-staff. It's 2,200 gold. It can change the course of a game, okay? And again, you can also put the Drums of Endurance before that, because when you get the recipe for the Boots of Bearing, it actually resets the count on the drums anyway. So like if you have one drum charge left and you get your Boots of Bearing, they start with 8 charges again anyway. You know what I mean? So if you get it earlier, you get more value from those charges. Something worth considering. But Nyx Assassin, seeing him back in the meta, is pretty cool because he's one of those heroes that, like, when he finds his place, can be extremely impactful. One of the craziest things about the Arlington Major and the Pro Dota meta as a whole is that Dazzle has re-emerged as the choice position 5, which is pretty interesting because, like, there was a time where literally no one picked Dazzle and everyone thought Dazzle sucked, and now everyone's like, hey, Dazzle, come on over here. We want to draft you. Because it's just really interesting to see that Dazzle is one of those heroes that, like, I mean, oh my, if you're in the low MMR bracket, if you're a new player, you pick Dazzle. I know you're going to grief with the shallow grave misses, and you're going to get pinged, and you're going to get reported. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's what the pros are playing, and if you want to practice a really viable position 5 right now, Dazzle's the guy. So let's talk about how to play him. So a couple things, first of all. Okay, so shallow grave. This always comes up. It's always a comment on my channel. Why do I take it at 4? Should I take it at 2? Should I take it at 1? My teammates feed, then ping my shallow grave because they're level 2 and they die. No, this is the correct build. Now, on occasion, you will see a pro take a value point at 3 on occasion. But if your teammates are feeding before level 4, that's kind of on them, okay? Because if you think about it, Dazzle's one of his primary strengths is his laning capability. You have poison touch. Very few people can trade with you. That's why you have a Blightstone, an Iron Branch, and 2 sets of tangos. You can preemptively eat a tango, walk up to a guy with poison touch, and like literally no one can trade with you. No one can trade with you. You create so much space for your carry. They should not be dying before level 4 because you are such a dominant laner as a Dazzle. He's the opposite of Nyx Assassin. He lanes incredibly well. So Poison Touch is incredible. Shallow Wave is also incredible. You get a heal, you get some damage on it. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. You take the Shallow Grave point at level 4, okay? If someone starts beefing because they're feeding, then just mute them and move on, okay? Poison Touch. Absolutely amazing skill. Use it. Okay, as a Dazzle, the worst thing you can do in a lane is be passive. You want to be active. You want to be right-clicking. You want to be using Poison Touch. You want them to, like, think they can trade into you. You want them to try and contest your pull. And you want to catch them out of position and then just destroy them. That's what you want to do as a Dazzle, okay? And then what you do is you build Magic Wand. Then you build your Arcane Boots because, you know, you need the mana. Into Holy Locket. Why? Because there's a couple things happening here with Dazzle. First of all, when you have a Holy Locket, you get a targeted basic, like, burst of healing, right? Or it's basically a magic wand that you can use on yourself or use on an ally. Why is that important? Well, take a look at Shallow Grave. Shallow Grave now amplifies healing per 10% missing. I feel like no one talks about this. You see that right there? Healing amplification per 10% missing. You get healing amp. And that is important because when someone's under Shallow Grave, not only can you hit them with Shadow Wave, but you can also hit them with Holy Locket and give them a burst amount of healing, which is great, right? And of course, his Shard, one of the best in the game. Who does not like his Shard, okay? Looking at little piggies just bouncing around, right? Awesome. Awesome, especially against illusion-based heroes. Absolutely unbelievable Shard. Into Aether Lens, you disassemble the Arcane Boots to build the Aether Lens, and then you finish with your Tranquil Boots, and then you go into a Glimmer Cape. Glimmer Cape's important for Dazzle because he generally gets initiated on, okay? He is the type of hero that people will say, hey, that Dazzle needs to die first because he's going to Shallow Grave everybody. And if he doesn't die first, no one else dies. So you need the Glimmer Cape first. With that being said, if it is a 4-staff game, you get the 4-staff. If it's like a game where you're getting right-clicked and that's kind of the issue and you don't want to get Glimmer Cape, you can get a Ghost Scepter, okay? Makes you invulnerable to physical damage, but if you're against like a leaner or something, that's a bad idea. But anyway, I'll leave that to you to decide based on the game situation, okay? Glimmer Cape tends to be the safest because sometimes, especially a little more, invisibility isn't vulnerability because no one friggin' buys dust because everyone's a clown, right? So anyways, that's what you want to do with Dazzle. Thank you guys so much for watching, and a very special thank you to all of our wonderful subscribers. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in the next Dota 2 video.